Welcome back to the Yarn Yard podcast.
What is that word you just said?
Yarn Yard.
Yarn Yard?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Welcome back to the Yarn Yard podcast. My name's Kevin, and today I'm really excited. I've got a guest that I've taken a lot of inspiration from, and now I'm sitting next to you in Thailand.
In Thailand, of all places.
And we've been on a journey.
Yes, we have. Today's the 10th, or today's the 11th.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was January 1st. I was in Bangkok with no plan and no idea what I was doing. And Kevin was like, come down to the islands, mate. And I fucking booked a bus, a terrible, horrendous 15-hour bus down. And we did it. And we've been traveling together ever since. Now we're up north. We caught a flight. We ate some elephant poop mushrooms.
Yeah, and I don't say that lightly. We've been on a journey, and it's been really fun. We've just been vibing for like the last week
Week and a half.
and first time hanging out.
Yes.
We're-
Totally on a
Yeah.
wave. Like, couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're stoked, and yeah, I'm really happy to be sitting here on the pod. We had some technical issues, but Jaret hooked it up with his mics and his setup. So
Yes. Bro, you're
Now
you're on episode 5,
yeah,
bro. When I was on
Yeah.
episode 5, like I said, it was a nightmare trying to set this shit up.
yeah,
Thankfully, I've just got it down at this point, so
yeah.
you'll figure it out.
Well, we're rolling.
We're rolling now, baby.
It always works out.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, so basically, I had a vision of being on a pod with you, or at least having you on my pod,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't know what it was going to look like or where it's going to go, and the same still stands, but I trust it's going to be a good conversation. And I think what I want to hold, at least as an intention, behind the direction of wherever this goes, is just to, I guess, provide an insight into each other's experience that can hopefully help someone else step into, a more confident and a more driven version of themselves.
Yeah, more free.
And yeah, like from my experience, I think that's been a big permission slip in taking in your content, is just seeing how you kind of like hold and embody who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people, including myself, have struggled with, you know. So yeah, I think it's perfect, and I think you will be a permission slip for a lot of people, and hopefully it reaches who it needs to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be on, bro.
Hell yeah.
Every conversation Kevin and I have had thus far, I'm thinking like, this is podcast material. Everything we talk about. So, yeah, it's gonna be fucking good, man.
Yeah. Well, I guess where we can kind of start off is like where you're at in your life, because I feel like you've made it, as we all have, we've made a lot of changes and changed directions and moving into different versions of ourselves. And I feel like we've both met each other at this interesting time.
Yeah.
So can you share a bit of where you're at now and what you're doing and what your vision is?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, we're coming together like in a big transitionary period in our lives. For me, really with like my personal brand and like my whole online thing the last few years, podcasting and kind of sharing my awakening journey has been like really what I've been doing. And now I'm in a place where I feel like the dust has settled. I've talked about my journey in every way possible, to the point where there's like not much left to say, and it's time for me to go have new experiences that I can then hop back on the mic and reflect on, because I feel like that's kind of like, for whatever reason, that's kind of like what I've been put in a position to do, is just like to communicate in a way that's digestible for people, like kind of just communicate my journey and how I've navigated through it, and what I've learned along the way. And so that's the content I've been putting out for the last few years. But now I'm in a point where I literally, I'll try to get on the mic and I'm just like, I got nothing to say. And you know, like musical artists will say that, you know, it's like they lock in for a year, they make a fucking album, and then they spend the next year fucking doing whatever they do, traveling, partying, whatever it is, to gain these new experiences to then be able to talk about or sing about or rap about. You know, same with an author or any sort of artist. So now my vision is to travel to off the beaten path places, or just interesting places, and observe and vlog that. Like, as you've seen, I've got the GoPro, doing a lot of vlogging. So I mean, long story short, I'm transitioning from podcasting to travel vlogging. I will continue to podcast. You know, like in 2022, I put out like 50 episodes. Last year, I put out like 30 episodes. You know, and this year I'll probably put out like 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Just because the intention I'm holding and that I see is like really blowing up my YouTube channel. Because I really want, because like deep down, forever, we've had these conversations, you know, the last week, but like when I look at my life and I continue to peel back the layers, the constant is adventure, is travel. That is the constant. That has been like, that's really been, you know, growing up in the small bullshit town in Ohio and all of this, like that was really like the vision that has kept me going, was like traveling and being in the adventure, you know. But I had a kid young, you know, became a young dad, and so I really went on an internal journey before I got, like, that was like a necessary milestone in my life, was to go on this, like, you know, 5 to 7 year internal journey before the world opened up for me, and now I'm out here. So I've talked about that internal journey in every way possible. So now I'm just out here, just ready to fucking just dive in and like have new experiences and share that in a new way, without me being like the messenger, without me being like the, you know, the one giving the rundown. It's just like, no, here, look, I'm just going to insert myself, you know, into the action, and you can see for yourself. Yeah. You know, that's kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been amazing to witness, really, and just be, because, you know, we've just been hanging out, and I've kind of just been tagging along. I'm here for the ride, you know, yeah. And I see the vision that you have, and it's it's really awesome to be a part of that and see the ins and outs and the in betweens, and yeah, it's been awesome. I guess what I want to bring, I guess the part I want to go back to in what you just shared was the shedding of the past version of yourself. And, you know, I feel like you've done that a few times now, and I'm coming to have done that time and time again, where we're just reinventing ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think for myself, the hardest part has been kind of like, you're kind of like holding on to a version of yourself that's like expired. Mm-hmm. And, you know, in a lot of cases, your life's kind of like created around what once was. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the hardest part, to kind of let go of that and step into something entirely different. Yeah. So, in your experience, like, how do you feel like you navigate that
Oh man, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
And I think you nailed it. You know, like that is the hardest part. Is you become this person, and you build a life around that, and then you find yourself looking in the mirror, and you're like, I am not that person anymore. I'm changing. I can feel a change within me. I don't have the same values, or I don't have the same vision, or I don't have the same, you know, energy or drive towards a certain thing, you know? Oh man, it's a really good question. I'm just trying to, you know, dig deep here and like, and really think about it. Psychedelics help.
Yeah.
You know, to like come to peace with this kind of stuff. I think if you're too sober, and I'm not saying, I mean, you don't even need to do substances to like be unsober. You know, you could really get into like breath work or yoga or something. But like, if you're too sober, if you're too fixated on yourself, you know, we're a very self-obsessed culture. And so I think the way that I've been kind of able to reframe it, and you know, the psychedelics and these boundary dissolving things help. Like dissolving, that's what psychedelics do. It's what cannabis does. It dissolves boundaries, right? And in our culture, we have a very tight sphinctered image of like who we are and what our life's supposed to be, right? And if you're just in that every day and you never give yourself an opportunity to break out of that, even when you feel the change occurring within you, it seems absolutely impossible to actually take that action. And you see that time and time again when you're talking to people. Like, everybody's got a dream, everybody's got a vision, everybody wants to leave their job, whatever it is, everybody's got this thing, but they don't do it. They don't pursue it. And it's a very multifaceted thing, you know. I'm not just saying like go take fucking mushrooms in your whole life and you're gonna start making different decisions.
And there's a lot of different like tools and modalities that are out there.
Endless.
I've found in my experience that psychedelics and plant medicine have been the most liberating, and it's been really cool to hang out with you because it's also been like liberating to, I guess, find a place in myself where I can express that. Now. And, you know, hanging out with you, I'm almost like branded, you know, and I love that. I love that because you're an incredible person, and
thanks, bro.
You have a lot of good things to offer the world, and you work with a lot of people, and I can see where they get a lot benefit from you just showing up. So
here's what I'll say. Let me just add this about the psychedelic thing. What they do is they dissolve the boundaries of the physical realm and like your personality and all of that, and they put you in touch with your soul, the deepest part of you. And when you're in touch with that, it's a lot easier and it's a lot more clear, and you're able to let go of like, because you understand that like this avatar I've created for myself isn't actually even me. It is an expression of me, the soul, but it is not all that I am. So it's a lot easier to let that die when you're in contact with the deepest part of yourself, the eternal part of yourself. You know?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Breathwork does the same thing. It all goes hand in hand.
Well, it's mindfulness at the end of the day, and it's being able to tap into something that's beyond your thought process, because like the amount of thoughts we have a day, you know, they're not ours. Right. So it's tapping into something beyond that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think what a lot of us struggle with is our thought processes,
Mm-hmm.
and that almost is what makes up these versions of ourselves that we then need to let go of.
Yeah. Well, so you know how I've been able to switch that is I've understood that you can't think your way out of a situation. You can't think your way. Like, the mind is a great tool, eh? But when it comes to navigating through this complex, dynamic human experience, feeling is the primary data of the human experience. That is the biggest shift I've ever made in my life, is understanding that feeling is the primary data in which you move from as a human being. And there's a difference between emotions and feeling, right? There's a difference between feeling your way through life and letting your emotions take you through life. You know, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
When I say feeling your way through life, it's like kind of letting go of this idea that everything has to logically make sense on paper, and kind of letting, it's a cliche thing, but it's so real, like really letting your heart lead the way. And then you use your brain as like a problem solving tool along the way, but the brain isn't the guiding force. You know what I mean? It's an ally.
No, I think you summed that up so perfectly. And I can even give an example, which is like, I think this process is probably how we came together, you know, because I'm like sitting on this island in Thailand, you know, just enjoying my solitude, and we get connected, and, you know, Jaret has all these visions and dreams and of doing all of this adventure, and my logical brain is like, you don't have enough money, you know, this is like reckless, are you sure you want to be doing this? And like, I had to like separate the thoughts from how I was feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is my body feeling?
Mm-hmm.
What is it like? What does my body want to do?
Yes.
And in following that, it's just been the ride.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's been perfect.
Bro,
the perfect wave.
What you just said is so huge. I just want to touch on that really quick. Like, we are so out of touch with the intelligence of our body, of our DNA, of our gut brain, of our heart brain. We have more neurotransmitters in our gut than we do in our brain.
Yeah.
Like that like, and we're so out of touch with that, and that's, you know, in large part because of our diet, you know, like we're nuking our fucking gut, you know, and destroying all of the good bacteria and those neurotransmitters and what have you. And it's also because we're just in a society for whatever reason, that's where we've found ourselves, you know, as the advanced society. For the people listening, I did quote unquote there, as the advanced society, you know, that's where we've gotten to. It's a very heady, logical thinking kind of way of like doing things, right? And there are still plenty of places in the world, people living with nature, whether it be in the Amazon in Africa, where they're more in tune with that, you know, like they're feeling their way through it, right, through life, and they're collecting data from the body. And that's been a big part of my journey, and obviously yours as well, is like getting in touch with the body, because the body, I mean, the DNA of our ancestors, of hundreds of thousands of generations, all this evolution, right? Like an animal living in the wild, surviving the elements. You think they're fucking in their head all day thinking about things? No, their body is guiding them. I'm hungry. My instincts tell me food is this way. We're going to follow that, you know? Yeah. It's like we're so out of tune with that. So exactly what you said, if you can, and that's another kind of way I like to frame the psychedelic experience, the meditative experience, is bringing consciousness out of the head and into the heart space.
Yeah.
You know, like a heart-centered meditation, or where you're breathing and you're envisioning you have nostrils on your heart space. And you can ride your consciousness. If you sit there and breathe with that intention long enough, you can ride that into your heart space, you know, to where you're actually in here and the eyes are kind of empty. There's no one there because the consciousness is down here. You know, you can do that. You can play with your consciousness and move it into different areas of the body.
And you know what? It takes a lot of work as well.
Definitely.
You almost, because we're so disconnected, we need to we're building a relationship with our body from scratch. Yeah. And we're building this trust over time.
Yeah.
You can't, 5 years ago I couldn't have made the decisions that I make today.
Me either.
Because it was all rational and logical, and it was in the head. Mm-hmm. So it takes a lot of time, and that's why practices like breath work and meditation and yoga and psychedelics, there's all of these various tools which help you connect back with yourself, so that you can circulate that awareness back into your body.
100%.
Yeah. And I guess it's coming back to where we were before. Through all of these different modalities, this is how we're moving through this expired version of ourselves, and then stepping into a new version of ourselves that we haven't met yet.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's kind of...
Yeah, I really believe that there's only so much space in our energetic body that we have to let go of the old in order to make room for the new. The new version of yourself isn't going to present itself and say, hey, look at me, this is what you get to be. It's like, no, that's where kind of faith comes in. And trusting that the universe is on your side. And that comes from you taking the initiative to align yourself with the universe, with God. Because, that's part of being like human and having free will, is that your participation is required. So you show up, you say, here I am, God, I'm ready. I'm ready to, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to feel confused. I don't want to feel depressed. I don't want to be this expired version of myself. I'm ready for the new, and I'm ready to let go of whatever I got to let go of. And that you can only find out what that is in silence.
Yeah.
That is the most underrated thing, is like, you're not going to get these answers. You're not going to be able to move from a place of just being in the grind, on the phone, at the job, on the phone, at the job, Netflix, and you start small. You sit down for 10 minutes and breathe. You go. What was huge for me, what will always be huge for me, but definitely in the beginning, is just take off your shoes and go for a walk outside.
Yeah.
That is number one. And obviously be conscious of breathing deeply, right? But just doing that. Yeah. Just nature is a huge tool and a huge hack in reconnecting, because we are nature. To think that we aren't is so... how absurd is that people literally think that there's nature and animals and then there's us.
Yeah.
We've totally removed ourselves from the natural world, but we come from it.
Yeah,
only in the last 1,000 years, since the fall of the Roman Empire, have we really disconnected ourselves and moved into cities and started, industrializing things. And now we're finding ourselves in 2024 thinking that we aren't even part of the earth, that we're something different.
Yeah.
And so nature helps us reconnect with reality, with fucking reality.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us are living in a virtual reality, and that's still real, but it's only a part of reality.
Yeah.
The phones and the technology and stuff, I'm not shitting on it. it's amazing, and it's gonna be part of our evolution. And our soul will probably be in this kind of stuff at some point. You know, like whenever we are ready to descend to outer space, it's not going to be physical bodies. You know what I mean? Like our consciousness will be in something else. But we're not there yet. We're still not far out of the trees. So we need to, like being on the phone and all that's great, but like we also need to honor our humanity, our primitive self.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that's the starting point, and it's another great example where we're creating the space for new things to come in, or even a remembering to come in. So sitting for 10 minutes or going for a walk outside, like you create the space for this integration and these changes to take place.
Yeah.
But if we're not creating that space, it's a totally different human
you have no
experience.
chance.
No,
I mean, think about it.
You're just being bombarded with more and more information
Yes.
that's not relevant to you
At all.
and how you're experiencing the world.
Yeah. We're watching videos. We're watching clips. We're on Instagram. Stimulation. We're in the car listening to music, listening to podcasts. The average person living in Australia or the U.S. has zero silence in their life.
Yeah.
They fall asleep with the TV on.
Yeah.
Their sleep isn't even silence. You know? Or people fall asleep scrolling. You know? Or watching a video. It's like there's no silence. How can you expect to be in tune with your life in any way at all?
Yeah.
With if you are not taking any space for yourself, any time for silence.
Yeah. No, you're so right. And yeah, you do got to start small. But
You have to.
And there's a lot of complexity to this as well, because I think a lot of people, you know, if we're not creating the space for these understandings, we're also probably in a situation where we feel quite stuck, and we also think we don't have the time for these things. But the way to get out of it is to create that time.
Yeah.
But I think where it's complex is, I think a lot of people feel overwhelmed, even if they're in a place where they want to create that time in their life. And I think that's what a lot of people maybe struggle with.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool because like a lot of what you do with your one-on-one calls is you kind of like help people in that area as well. But I think that dynamic where, you know, you've obviously created a life that has the space for these changes to take place.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, from your experience, how would you communicate that someone else that can create that within their lives?
I'll tell you how. Like I about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, like I literally, it's like, because life is a matter of perspective, right?
Yeah, entirely.
Like totally a matter of perspective. Like somebody living out in the bush in Africa with absolutely nothing can think they have the best life in the world, while somebody who has all the money in the world sitting in their bank thinks that their life sucks. Life's a matter of perspective. And one of the biggest perspective shifts I ever made was treating my entire life, every day, 24 hours a day, as a meditation, as a spiritual practice. Because a lot of people I talk to, they're like, yeah, man, I'm in the matrix all day, and then, you know, I go meditate, but I don't want to be in the... It's like, no. I was in the matrix delivering food, door dashing, but that I treated it as a meditation. Yeah. You know? Because a meditation isn't just sitting there with your legs crossed with your eyes closed. A meditation is bringing awareness. It is bringing consciousness. It's bringing stillness to the moment. So, and it's like, and of course, this is a practice. It's something that needs to be cultivated. It's something that takes time. But I think that's really what's worked for me, is like treating my entire life as a meditation. Even when I'm doing shit I don't want to be doing, I understand that that's a necessary part of the process.
Yeah.
It's a milestone. A lot of us want to skip milestones.
Yeah.
We want to skip milestones. We want to go from distracted 24/7 at our 9 to 5 to totally free running around the world. That's not how it works. There are milestones, man.
Yeah.
You know? And
totally.
and look at it as like the game that we get to play. You know, it's like the generations before us, you just had to go to work and come home and be poor. There was no option to be laying in bed naked editing videos to start creating freedom in your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you literally had to go to work, come home, and be poor.
We have the most opportunity that we've ever had.
Yeah. And we have also more distraction.
Yeah.
So it's on us.
It is.
It's on us. All the opportunity is there. And just for anybody listening who may be saying, like, you know, easy for you to say, literally 3 years ago, I was dead broke, door dashing, no followers. No one knew who I was. No connections. No fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anybody can do it.
But I'll also say, even if you have the privilege, why would you not use that privilege? Like, it's almost like a disservice to the people that don't have a privilege in the first place.
Definitely.
And if we're getting caught up in comparing ourselves, then everyone else is just paralyzed, you know?
Yeah, comparison is terrible.
We need to look at what we're doing
Yeah.
and what we want to create in our lives. We shouldn't be focusing on how other people have it.
Yeah.
Because, you'll be in that turmoil forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I take inspiration from people.
Totally.
There's people who I've like really gotten into their life, you know, online, and like it's really inspired me. But it comes back to like the stillness and coming back to, you know, like tapping into your own life. Because life, as far as I can tell, is a one-player game in a lot of ways. No one's going to save you. No one's going to pave the road for you. No one's going to tell you your next step. And if people are telling you your next step, they're full of shit. Your parents, whoever it is, they don't fucking know. They don't even know what they're supposed to be doing, let alone you. Only you. Oh, it can only come from you. Having said that, it's also a connection with the whole entire world around us. But you are like you're the one who has to like actually take the initiative. But I don't think it's just me. I got angels all around me. You know, I'm connected with God, with the universe. You know, I feel that way. I'm connected with nature, with the ancestors. You know, there's a lot more here guiding us. There's a lot more here feeding us and fueling us. But we're the only one that can put that into action. That, you know, when I smoked Changa, or Changa for your Australian audience, and I met this entity, the entity told me that the human form is the most ideal form to take in the universe. We, in the human form, have a unique opportunity to manipulate matter, to actualize things in the physical realm. You know?
Yep.
There's a lot of people who aren't in bodies. There's a lot of souls that aren't in a body. You know? And they can do what they can do. But we can actualize things in the physical realm. We're here on Earth for a short time.
Yeah.
You know? This isn't forever. You're going to go back to being a floating soul in the universe very soon. You know, so while we're here, the way I look at it is like taking aligned action. And, you know, and by aligned action, I mean like not just out here. Because unaligned action is how we've gotten to the point where we're destroying the planet, toxifying the ocean, you know, pimping out fucking little kids in the Congo so that they can mine lithium to power our iPhones. That's how we've gotten to that point. Aligned action comes through silence, tapping in.
Yeah.
What is the aligned way to move forward? Because as a human, especially us in like the modern civilization, we can't help but we're going to build something. We're going to create something. But the intention behind that creation, the ethics behind that creation, you know, that's kind of what's changing, I think.
Well, that's like, I think there's a couple of examples that I want to give that might translate, you know, what you're explaining, which is on point. The first one being the law of cause and effect, which is regardless of whether you have an intention or a conscious creation that you're trying to build in the world, the opposite is also true, which is that if you don't take any action or you take unaligned action, it has a cause and effect. And so to deny that we don't have this influence over reality, I think is like that in itself is, I think, the best example. Another one is the analogy of the yellow car. Like, you think of a yellow car, you'll find yellow cars.
Yes.
Like, they'll just keep coming.
That's the reticular activating system.
Yeah.
In the brain.
And so it's like, when we're talking about all of these complex ideas, like, I like to try and bring them back to, like, you know, something more digestible.
No, that's great.
Because I
we
think
need you to do that.
Because a lot of people can get really lost in the words, the translation. You know, we're all gonna explain this in our own way. But I think when we can bring it back to like more simplistic examples, like, it really, at least to me, makes me realize how much we do have an influence over our own lives.
Yeah.
And we can create the life we want.
Yeah.
But if we don't create the stillness and the space, we have no idea what we want to create in the first place.
Absolutely. We don't listen. We don't listen. And I don't mean listening to other humans. I'm talking listening to what's going on inside of us. Yeah. Listening to higher power, spirit, ancestors. You know what I mean? Yeah. The wind is talking to you, you know, but are you listening? Are you feeling into it? You know? Like, I stopped saying, what do you think about this? I say, how do you feel about this? Yeah. You know? Yeah. Let me think about it. No, I don't say that. I say, let me feel into it. Yeah. You know, because thinking so limiting. So limiting, especially when we consider the fact, and I am no fucking saint, neither is Kevin. I'm on Instagram watching shit. There's so much data in the brain now. It's like the only thing you can really trust is the feeling at this point. Yeah. You know, you can't trust your own mind in a lot of ways, and people hate to hear that because people think they are the mind.
Yeah, and it can make you feel quite helpless, but I think that's where what we're saying is, like, that's where our body's intelligence comes in.
Yes.
And that's actually more comforting to me than,
same,
you know, my mind being able to work everything out.
Same. And
yeah, it's nice to actually be in a place where I can say that as well, because it's like what I was saying before. It's like a relationship that you need to build. And yeah, you just got to start small. But I think another cool thing about the universe, or a law of the universe, is that it's forever expanding.
Yeah.
So even if you're like listening to these ideas and it doesn't make sense, your awareness is going to be expanding and forever expanding.
Yeah.
And so if you have a place where you want to see yourself, like, I think that's a law in the universe that just kind of like reiterates that, yeah, wherever you put your attention to, it's going to grow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter where you're at. Like, we all start at the same place.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's like just trusting that it will take you where it needs to take you.
That's it. Trusting, like, that's one of my biggest affirmations.
Yeah.
Like, anytime I'm like in a situation, or like if I'm just meditating and I'm in my mind, I'll come back to I trust.
Yeah.
I trust.
Yeah. No, that's amazing, man. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
just to cap on what we were saying, Albert Einstein has a brilliant quote where he says, "A problem cannot be solved from the same state of consciousness that it was created from."
Yeah.
And that kind of goes into what we were talking about of like getting out of the mind, getting out of the head and moving into some other intelligence, whether that be you taking your consciousness upward, you know, into your higher self, or bringing that consciousness down into the body. We can't think our way out of problems that we've created from the mind.
Yeah.
You can't think your way out of it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's the same thing like in a psychedelic trip. You can't think your way out of a sticky situation. You got to move the energy around. That's why any psychedelic aficionado will tell you, breathe and sing.
Yeah.
You got to move the energy around. You can't think your way out of it. You think you think the world's caving in on you. You can't just tell yourself, oh, everything's going to be okay. You know, like you can't think your way out of it. It's too strong. And that same thing goes to like life, if you ask me.
Yeah.
You know, like life is too fucking weird. It's too powerful, and it will run you over. You can't think your way through it. You got to ride the wave, which comes into letting go.
Yeah.
You know, like everything we're talking about, like, yeah, you're the one to like do it. You're the one to do that, blah, blah, blah. There's also this element of letting go, because when you put it all on you, and you like how do I say it? It's like life, the momentum of the universe, you're no match for. You are no match to go at war with the universe, to try to create something that, and it's not to say you shouldn't do things that are hard, but if you're trying to do something and you're facing resistance after resistance, it's not flowing whatsoever, that's the time where you reflect and you ask yourself the hard questions. Why am I doing this? What am I trying to get out of this, right? Because I've just done that time and time again in my life, where I try to like manipulate the universe into creating something or giving me something that I think I want, and it never works.
Yeah.
But when you give up the control, it always works out better than you could even imagine, you know?
Well, that's like our rational mind trying to control, you know, our external environment.
Yeah, it's impossible.
And that's where we're operating from the wrong intelligence, you
Yeah.
know? And you know what's fascinating is I've really come to realize, like, most of the friction in my life where it feels like sticky and like it causes stress and discomfort, a lot of that is almost entirely you trying to control your circumstance.
Always.
So
it's this fine line, right? It's this fine line between taking action. That's why I called it aligned action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's this fine line between like being the creator of your reality while also understanding you don't know what you want. You don't know what's best for you.
Yeah.
And that's where the giving up control part comes. Like the way I look at it is like I'm floating downstream, and then when it's time to move, it's like surfing, right? It's like, yeah, you weave, you balance your energy on the board, you know what I mean? Like you take action, but you're not taking random action on the board, or else you're going to fall off. You're moving with the wave. Like there's a stronger current that's guiding you. Yes, you're riding the wave, but you're nothing without the wave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the universe, the energy of the momentum of the universe, God, that's the wave. And you ride it, you know?
And you know what's funny is like where we get impatient is also, you know, the logical mind. So it's the pace of the universe and the speed of this wave is probably going to be a lot slower than your logical mind will like it to be.
It's true. Yeah, patience truly is a virtue.
Yeah. And yeah, patience and trust.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, wow, man. Yeah. No, I think we articulated that quite well.
Yeah, I mean,
like, yeah.
I hope that
and
makes sense.
it's like what's fascinating is like, and a really cool part of like podcasting and conversation is like through talking about these ideas, you also like come to better understandings and like deeper understandings of these concepts.
Yeah, it's great.
So sometimes it takes a moment to just be like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the way I look at it is like, when you have to explain something for someone else to understand, it forces you to come to a better understanding. You know, if you're going to put it in language for somebody else, if you're going to take this ethereal thing and turn that into language and, you know, say it to somebody in a way that's going to make sense.
Yeah.
It's very beneficial for your own self. You know, that's why I always encourage people, like, even if you don't want to be like a big personal brand content creator, like just making videos and talking about your experience, even if you're never going to put them out, it can help you come to so much closure in your life. You know, and you do a lot of writing, which I'm sure is the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Because you're taking this ethereal thing, this thought realm, imagination realm, and you're bringing it into reality. And it can just bring so much closure and so much more awareness to yourself. For me, it's talking on video. For you, it's writing. You know, whatever your method is.
Yeah, it's you need like a sorting facility.
Yeah,
whatever that method is, you know. Yeah. Yeah, incredible, man.
And for the last couple of years, for me, it was podcasting.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it was just, I would like, so my whole podcasting career was essentially me, because like half my episodes are solo episodes. So especially those are like diary entries, you know, where I would just get really high, like do a microdose, smoke a joint to the face, and just let my subconscious roll on the mic. And I've learned more about myself doing that. You know, like just like
100%,
like talking, just letting my soul speak in a way. And then you're like, oh my God, you know, like I've never like thought about anything I was going to say, you know, it's just like my subconscious. And then I learn about myself from that.
Yeah.
And then if you have the balls to share that with the world, you can really, what I've found is be very liberating for people.
It is. And like, I think that's what I'm in. Like this podcast is very liberating. This connection that we have is very liberating for that reason. And it's fascinating because I guess I can share a little bit of my experience through taking psychedelics and plant medicine, is that I've had the intention to take these substances to better understand myself and my reality and how I experience it. And it also has allowed me to tap right in to stillness and quiet and a connection to something greater than my logical mind.
Yep.
What's funny is through the process of learning about myself, one of the biggest blind spots was that I wasn't comfortable speaking about my experience using these substances.
And where did that come from? Just like...
Well, I think they're the stories that I've heard in my childhood, and the culture that I've been brought up around, and the people within my environment and their experiences and their projections. And you know, there's always going to be someone that has a view of, like, a poor view of someone that takes these substances and lives a completely different life to you. And
to them we say namaste.
Well,
Enjoy your
yeah,
McDonald's.
yeah.
Because I think that you're fucking living an insane life.
Well,
You know?
and that's the perspective, and you know, it's. I think what's just quite fascinating to me is, even through using a lot of these different tools and modalities, there can be blind spots.
For sure, it's not a magic pill.
No, and it's just being willing enough and persistent enough to try and challenge that, you know.
Yeah.
And
peel back the onion.
That's been a big part of why I've just been speaking on camera and kind of just pretty much just trying to challenge that aspect that is challenged.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think a lot of like what I have to say and what I have to share is, you know, it comes from a very different place than a lot of people are used to. So it has held this like resonance that I think has inhibited me from expressing myself. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to share that because I think that's like it's an interesting example for me, but also I think for a listener that you can be conscious and intentional with like trying to better understand yourself and try to remove these layers, but you also need to be patient and
do the homework.
You know,
sure. Which is the meditation, the mindfulness, the breathing, the walking in nature, the being kind to people, the eating better foods that aren't fucking with your, you know, ability to be a clear channel. Do the homework.
Yeah.
Integration of the experience is everything.
Yeah.
A lot of people go down to Peru, drink ayahuasca, come back and do the same shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I like to think of like the Wheel of Death on the MacBooks, where they're like the rainbow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it just, everything like freezes.
Yeah.
That's how I like to kind of, to see that, is like you get all of this information and, you know, like our computer, our hardware is just like, it can't integrate it. So it's just like frozen.
Yeah.
You know, it's stuck. And it takes time.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
patience to just like let that, come around.
Yeah, big time. I'm really happy you're speaking about it because, you know, like the psychedelic experience is just as old as, you know, humankind itself. And it's a birthright. And it's a big part of anybody who has taken psychedelics and who has had good experiences or bad experiences that have changed their life for the better. You understand it, how big of a part of you it is.
Yeah.
You know, and to suppress that is doing yourself and the world a massive disservice.
Yeah.
And the plants.
And the
medicine itself.
100%. Yeah. And it is just like this massive weight that can be lifted. Because it's like I'm not denying myself.
Yeah.
And it's so like everything that who I am today is built on this relationship and this self-awareness that has been facilitated with plants and plant medicine and psilocybin. And it's I wouldn't say it's not possible without it, but it's my experience.
Yeah.
You know? And it's
definitely not. It's not impossible without it. But the way I look at it, in our culture, we are so contracted we're so bound up, we're so out of our element, we're so disconnected that pharmacological intervention is needed. That's why these things are that's why they're the most popular fucking topic in the world now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know about in Australia, but in the US,
No,
it's the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
You know, microdosing, the whole thing. Like it's all over the news now. I mean, it's just totally mainstream. And it's because we're so contracted, cuz bro, like realistically at the rate we're destroying the earth and the rate we're destroying ourselves, I mean, what do we got? Another 100, 200 years? Like we are at the tipping point. You know, like it is do or die for life as we know it.
It is.
And that's why these things are here. And then the integrate, like, are we just going to be doing psychedelics forever? No. But they're playing a crucial role right now.
Yeah.
And then as we start unwinding all of this contractedness and disconnectedness, and the more we reconnect, we start healing the planet, healing ourselves, right? Then we can come into more, you know, we can relax and we can like, you know, and I don't think we should ever abandon the psychedelic experience. I think that's the biggest mistake I see people in the spiritual community making. Their whole awakening was caused by psychedelics, and then they get to a point where they think that they are above the plants. They're above the medicine. And I'm not saying you shouldn't feel empowered to be able to, like, you know, navigate life and expand your consciousness just through you. But these people, this is just my experience. When I interact with these people, these are the people with the biggest spiritual ego, the people who are still completely disconnected, and they're now in this, like, delusional I am holy type thing because they had one psychedelic experience and now they became a certified breathwork coach and they think that they're holier than thou and they're above the medicine. But anytime I talk to those people, I look at them and I don't feel good vibes from them. I don't feel any sort of, like, I don't feel the enlightenedness. I don't feel like this is a conscious person. I feel like this is a person who is totally lost in their ego. That's just my experience. Like, so I don't think as a culture, I think now that we have these psychedelics, we can't get to a place where we think we're above it all, you know, because interface in like we're just so fucking lost, like interfacing with natural things from the earth, from nature. We're nature. Like, that's what the earth is all about. Like, that's what earth is all about, is like nature interacting with itself, killing things. We're disconnected from that. We got to kill every day to survive. Everything on the planet does. Every animal, everything, death is necessary. Interfacing with different substances is necessary. But you
think about all of the food, at least the whole foods that we eat today. Have been built on a relationship that humans have with nature. Yes.
Food is it's the same thing as psychedelics. To me.
It's nature. They're one and the same.
Like you need it. Like it's part of the experience.
Yeah.
Like we just have such a weird relationship with altered states of consciousness, where there's certain culturally sanctioned altered states of consciousness that are allowed. Depression meds, ADHD meds, alcohol, nicotine. Yeah. These are the ones that in our culture are accepted. But when you look back at cultures, there have been many, many, many psychedelic cultures. And there are psychedelic cultures today. You know, it's a matter of what we prioritize. And in our culture, we prioritize productivity.
Yeah.
We prioritize no rest, getting more done, more coffee, more ADHD meds so you can focus. You know, that's what our culture fucking values as a whole. And that's changing. I see it changing in front. I mean, like we said earlier, like we're in it. We're in the big
It's-
change.
Yeah.
But, altered states of consciousness will always and have always been part of the human experience. It's just a matter of us choosing which ones we want to participate in. And, Terrence McKenna would always talk about, like, you don't want to just be a druggie. You want to use drugs that have utility, that have a higher net benefit than they do negative. And psychedelics, cannabis seem to be those.
Well, I think that's where a lot of people get the wrong idea. Is like, I'm not, taking these substances to escape my reality or to party and have a good time and like it's like it's become this intimate relationship where it's almost become a necessity. And there'll be times where I don't have it, and I think that's important too,
Definitely.
is for the integration process.
Definitely.
But I think a lot of people get this idea that that there's these hippies and they don't care about certain values that society does, and they're rejecting the world around them. And I think there is a part of the psychedelic culture and the spiritual culture that does reject society as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what I want to highlight is that it's a much more intimate relationship, and it's almost like we're taking these substances to learn more about ourselves, to step into a better version of ourselves, to help better serve the world.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the intention.
Yep.
That's totally different to how most people perceive what we're talking about.
And but I understand why they do, because there are people who fucking, drop LSD and go to a rave and go, whatever, like, fuck off. And I'm not demonizing that either. Like, having fun and like partying and like enjoying life is important. I don't do it all the time, but like, it's important. But like, the psychedelic experience is the religious experience. And that's what you're saying when it's like so intimate. It is the religious experience. It is the foundation that our current religions are built upon, is this experience.
It's an important reminder.
And now we're in a culture and in a world where we take someone else's religious experience and we make that our religion without ever actually having a true religious experience ourselves. People will go from birth to death as a Christian, and they'll never feel what's being described in those scriptures.
Yeah.
They'll never actually feel it themselves. They outsource it to some person 2,500 years ago. You can feel that yourself through the psychedelic experience.
Yeah, I love how you have highlighted where they are quite intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my experience, the complex that I've let go of is intertwined with my relationship to God and these plants and the fungi system. Mm-hmm. But they're one and the same. Mm-hmm. Like that's my relationship to God and the universe, is Mother Nature.
Yeah.
But if I use the word God,
people think you're talking about a guy up in the sky.
Yeah.
Or Allah or some shit.
Yeah, and I think we just have this very twisted understanding and a very limited understanding if we're not open enough to question these ideologies.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't need to be so binary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't need to take someone else's word for it. Like, that's what we've lost in our culture, is the felt presence of direct experience. We don't have experiences anymore. We take other people's experiences. Our religion is somebody else's experience. How we live our life. Like you talk to like old people, and every thing that they like you tell them something, and it all comes back to like a TV show or like some actor, some like old actor or something. Like everything they think about like comes back to like someone else's experience. You know, we don't have experiences. We sit in front of a TV. We fucking go to work to make someone else rich. You know, no, like as a whole and as people, we're not having our own experiences. And that's why what we're doing right here and what we're doing out here is so appealing to people on a soul level, because everybody deep down knows that they're lacking real experience. We all are. You know, we all are taking other people's word for it and watching other people live, you know. And when you come back and you have your own experience, and that's why psychedelics are so important, because they snap you right into direct experience, the felt presence of direct experience. Like we were talking about earlier, sex.
Spot on.
The sex, like meaningful, intentional sex. Same thing. That is the felt presence of direct experience, where you totally feel alive. You totally are in your life. You're in the feeling. You're connected.
In union.
You feel the magic.
But you can also disrespect that experience.
100%. Same with the psychedelic experience, right?
Yeah.
I'm
so glad you brought that up.
Comes us all the way back to what we talked about in the beginning. Tuning in to the stillness of your own life and taking aligned action.
Yeah.
You know, that's that's number one.
Amazing, man. Love it.
This has been a really fun conversation.
Been on a vibe, man.
Yeah, bro.
This has been every day.
Yeah.
More or less.
And by the way, I should have prefaced this. I also believe that no one knows shit. No one knows anything. We're just talking about our experience in this life. But guess what? Everything that we thought we knew 200 years ago, we laugh at today. So, you know, we're getting closer possibly, but like no one knows anything. You don't need to do what Kevin's doing. You don't need to do what I'm doing. If something that we said resonates with you, add it to your toolkit, give it a try. But like this life is so weird. It's so deeply personal. Yeah. You know, you just got to find what works for you.
Yeah, and you gotta live it authentically to you.
Yeah.
And we're just sharing our experience. And I think what's so important about that, which is why I started this podcast in the first place, is because of the value that I get from understanding someone else's experience.
Yeah, me too.
And I truly think that's what we're all here to do.
Yeah. You know, Ram Dass would say we're all just walking each other home.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's beautiful, but there is a lot of complexity to that, because we also live in a world that, you know, cancels people's opinions, and you can't say certain things, and we're restricted in our self-expression based on societal standards that have been falsified into the world we live in today.
So the key is to do it anyway.
The key is to do it anyway. But I think what I want to touch on, why I brought that up, is like we were touching on the other day, which is that, you know, we're always reinventing ourselves, and it almost feels like we're a new person every day. I think what stops a lot of people from expressing themselves is that they feel like they need to be that person and hold that perspective that they did yesterday forever. And other people will put them in that box.
Yeah.
But the most liberating thing, I think, in expressing myself has been what I say today may not be what I say tomorrow.
Right.
But it shouldn't stop me from saying what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because the value is in sharing our experience to walk each other home.
Yeah.
If we're just denying our experience and not expressing it, which is pretty much what's happening.
Yeah.
Is that there's how many billion people on the planet?
8.
And I would say 0.00% of the population are actually in their true, authentic self, expressing their way of life.
And bro, this is such a good point, and it goes to what we were talking about yesterday, like with the tribe, like primally, and this is where you got to have love for your humanity, right? But you got to realize, a couple thousand years ago, if the tribe outcasted you, it meant certain death, because we were in survival, true survival. Not the survival we have now. True survival. Like freeze to death, starve to death. Survival. Or get fucking crucified by another tribe or something. And now we're in a world that's very comfy and cozy and filled with resources and filled with opportunity. And the opinion of the tribe, the value of that has decreased substantially.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if the tribe outcasts you now, you're doing something right in my eyes. You know what I mean? Because the crowd's lost. The herd is lost, you know, like, so when you do your own thing now, you got to, but it's just about having, like, you know, I've learned, like, love and grace and compassion for that primal mind, for that primal instinct. Like, once you understand why you want to be liked, why you want to be accepted, then you can realize, oh, well, it actually doesn't matter if I'm liked or accepted. It really doesn't. Yeah. In our current society.
And I think that's the biggest, that is the risk you take in being yourself.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of people won't like you.
Yeah. But a lot of people are going to really resonate.
Yeah.
That's what I've found with my, like, online journey is, like, it's been a process through putting out content, but what I've really kind of reflected and realized is, like, we have this deep desire to express ourselves while simultaneously having a deep fear of being seen and beheld in our entirety. To be seen naked for exactly who you are is terrifying. And I've gotten to a much better, you know, in the beginning, you're kind of full of shit. You know, you're trying to sound smart or whatever, and then you get humbled and you realize, okay, and then it just it becomes more and more authentic. When I look back at my videos from 3 years ago to today, it gets more and more and more authentic, because yes, you're going to get the people who don't fuck with you, but you also you're sending out a resonance and a frequency that attracts your real tribe. And those connections are priceless. And once you realize that, and you can see that, like, for real, you know, you can see that, like, oh my God, I'm attracting, like, really beautiful people that I really resonate with, that I really want in my life. And there's also, but in that process, half of the people or more
drop off,
don't fuck with you.
Yeah.
And that is, it's just about getting comfortable with that.
Yeah.
It's about getting comfortable with the fact that not everybody's going to like you. But why do you want them to? Because you don't even fucking like them. You wouldn't hang out with those. That's what I've realized. Like, the people who fucking talk shit on my fucking videos and stuff, I had to come to the realization, I would never hang with that person.
Yeah.
You know?
So true.
So why does it matter? I would never hang with you in real life. So if you drop a comment and say, fuck this hippie, what does it matter to me? You know? And that also comes back to not, like, it's a lot easier to see and transmute the hate if you don't put too much value on the love. You got to do it for you. Yeah. If you're doing it to be loved, and, you know, if you're doing it for the comments of people like, you're the best, you're the GOAT, we love you, if that's why you're doing it, the negativity fucking hurts way more, and it brings you down because you're doing it for the validation. But when you're doing it, I'm doing this shit because I can't imagine doing anything else. Like, there's nothing else for me to do. I've sat in silence for long enough and reemerged from the ashes. Like, there's nothing else for me to do. That's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because it's coming from the inside out. I get tons of positive comments, and I get a lot of negative comments, and it's almost like you have to treat them the same, like not care about either, you know? Because if you value the validation, then you also are vulnerable to the opposite.
Yeah, it's a very sensitive thing to navigate, and yeah, I'm glad we're talking about it because I think it is the center point of like the human struggle. You know, is like navigating through all of these layers of fear and abandonment and being kicked out of the tribe.
Yeah,
as we've used that example.
Yeah.
Just to be you at the end of the day. And that's why we're sharing. And that's why I've been sharing. And, you know, I look back at pretty much everything I've done. And I'm like, oh, you know, like, that didn't look pretty. This whole process of like unfolding and unraveling, like, and I think that's what a lot of people are scared of.
You gotta embrace the cringe.
You have to, and that's the only thing. Like, you gotta like face that like head on. Yeah, I think.
Well, that comes down to self-love.
It does,
or at least self-appreciation or self-respect, right? Like, that's what I've learned. Like, I used to hate, you know, we were talking about all these evolutions. I used to hate previous versions of myself. And I used to want to delete the videos, and I would delete the videos. You know, I used to absolutely despise previous versions of myself. And I can actually say right now that I love every version of myself that I've ever been.
Well, that's where it's funny, is it looks ugly, but I feel like when it comes together, it's so beautiful. Yeah. You know, it's like,
yeah. You're right. Yeah, once you actually, like, once you start to actually bloom and open up, then you can appreciate the roots, the dirt, the mud, the fucking roots that didn't quite make it, you know? Yeah. You can appreciate all the fucking ugliness and wackiness that it took to create this. And that only comes from walking the path. You know, like, you can only appreciate all of that by actually continuing to walk the path and giving yourself a chance to bloom. You know, otherwise you're always just judging yourself. You're always just looking at what could have been or what you didn't do. Right? Ram Dass has a lovely quote where he was, you know, I was like listening to a talk, and he was like, it's like, the only thing that is required on this spiritual journey is that when you get run over, you stand up, brush yourself off, and say, here I am, God, and keep going. That's all that's required. You're never going to do it perfectly. It's never going to look how you think. It's not going to be pretty most of the time. But all that matters is that you stand up and keep going.
Yeah. And hopefully it's a permission slip to the people in your life as well. It has will be. It has a compounding effect.
I will tell you from experience, and we're both young, you know, and I'm already seeing how it's impacted not only like my followers and all that, but like even the people in your life that you like. Oh, man, when I first started doing all this stuff, my family like chastised me. You know, they like he's gone crazy, like, you know, and like the connection was severed. But I was telling you this, like, I was just home for Christmas. My relationship with my parents is better than ever because I saw it through my truth, right? And then you come out on the other side of all the unknown, all the ugliness, all the failures, all the judgment. You get to the other side of that, and you're like this undeniable. Like, it's undeniable. Like, energy doesn't lie. And when you show up as that whole version of yourself, just fully you, who can deny that? You know, people only respect that at the end of the day. Even people who maybe never understood or you never thought would understand. And maybe they don't understand. But there's like this energetic soul level of respect that I feel now from my family members that once thought I had completely lost it.
Yeah. Amazing.
And you know, like
sharing,
they're eating more organic foods. There's huge ripple effects, man.
Yeah, totally. And I can relate to that so much in my own experience as well. Like, I think I owe the rekindling of my relationship to my mum and my family to plant medicine.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like,
Same.
that's what really changed and shifted my life in the direction that it's going now.
Yeah.
And so I really need to honor that
Yeah.
and share that story.
Yeah.
Because it's like, my mum and I speak about it all the time. Like, how rare is it to have like a good family dynamic?
In today's world, very rare.
A good relationship with your parents.
A real relationship. Where you can like share really who you are.
Yeah.
You know, without having to like totally be a shell of yourself.
And that's what the world needs.
Yeah, bro. We're going to look back on this podcast years from now, you know, like, this is so cool that because is this the first time you've ever spoken about using psychedelics?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm honored, bro.
Yeah.
Honored to
like
do it with
I
you.
feel like people get that vibe.
Yeah.
From me.
Yeah.
And have done. And I've like put things on my stories and.
Yeah.
But I think to really speak about it and actually hold a different energetic embodiment is pretty much in this time that I've like been with you.
Yeah. So cool, man.
Yeah. It's just like the biggest permission slip. And it's fascinating because in hanging out with you, I can also see, where, like, you've pretty much mentioned to like every single person that we've like bumped into, like, that we're gonna go and do like elephant poop mushrooms in Thailand.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
But like the energy you carry with being yourself, every single interaction we've had has been like amazing, and the other person is left like stoked.
Yeah.
And it's like just being like bearing witness to that is like incredible. Like, it's priceless.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
So I don't even realize this stuff. I mean I'm just like,
Yeah.
I can't. I'm just living.
Well, that like it's more a reflection of like what I wouldn't do. So you're mirroring back like what I would withhold to the standard person.
Yeah.
And we have a choice in what we don't need to express everything, but it does shine a light on that perspective.
Well, it's like we're probably never gonna see these people again. If they don't like me or if they think I'm not.
Well, I think it's ironic because
fuck off.
There's a fear of not expressing yourself because you fear the fear of abandonment and people not liking you.
Yeah.
But in the example I'm using with you, is it like almost has an 100% success rate?
It does.
Like
because it's totally real and it's totally coming from the inside out. I'm not telling them about the mushrooms because I think they're gonna think I'm cool. It's because it's because it's all I'm thinking about.
So
I'm
excited.
fucking stoked about it. You know what I mean? Like it's the highlight of my Thailand trip. You're like, and like, so just sharing it. And this, what we're talking about here is a muscle that you strengthen over time.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Just being able to totally like be seen and be held for who you are. It's been a journey, man. I feel like I've always been, from a young age, I've been like a bold, expressive, extroverted person. I've always been that. But to do that and to carry that energy in like the authenticity that it's taken on now has been a fucking journey, you know. And I'm sure a lot of people listening who are extroverted, kind of center of attention type people will relate. You know, in the beginning, you're just full of shit.
Yeah.
You know, I could have taken, like, without the pharmacological intervention, we were talking about this earlier, like, who would we be? I mean, I would be like some fucking like salesman, you know, like, or like some fucking just annoying, loud, because I see older guys all the time who have clearly never taken psychedelics who are also like extroverted guys, and it's just unbearable, you know, because everything that comes out of their mouth is just like this like fabricated like ego thing, you know. So it's been a practice to be able to be loud and expressive and extroverted and then actually be real. You know, it's been quite the journey. And that's the internal work.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I love that.
And the accepting of yourself. Like, self-love is tough, but self-acceptance is necessary. You have to at least accept yourself. Then we can get into self-love. You got to at least accept yourself. And that doesn't mean stay how you are forever, but it's like accept who you really are. Accept.
Well, that's another paradox is to be a different version of yourself. You have to accept who you are first.
100%.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. Yeah, and it's like accept who you really are. Don't necessarily accept the way you're living, or the decisions you're making. Right? Put that under a hard microscope. But like when you tap into like who you really are, like me, like I had like, you know, social survival. I mean, for so much of my life, I had to just sever most of myself. I had to like hide it, you know, like my kind of like flamboyantness or my like expressiveness or my, you know, I had to just, you know, and then once you accept that, it's very liberating. I had to pretend I was, you know, like I look back, man, I can see how from like elementary school to high school, I just became more and more numb, more and more just less of myself. And it's easy to just stay in that and remain that.
It's certainly more comfortable.
It's arguable.
At the time.
At the time. Then you end up on SSRIs.
It's like that ripping off the Band-Aid, you know.
Yeah, just
like
do it.
Yeah.
Like, and let that wound heal, you know. Just fucking rip it off.
Yeah. Now that's amazing. I appreciate you sharing that. And it provides a context to like, yeah, how you got to be where you are now. And I think where you are now definitely, like, you act as like a permission slip for people to be themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and that's cool. That's the ripple effect, and it's.
I like where I'm at. I think it's going good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finally.
And what I find funny, like what I find funny, we were touching on this the other day, but I can almost like bring it together. Is that, you know, that through this process of being yourself, and you highlighted, you attract people that are meant for you and your tribe and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't help but feel like that is so much the case with us.
Oh yeah.
And it's like we're like so similar. Like we've had like, you know, we're brothers and cousins, and
everybody that we talk to thinks we're related.
There's a lot of similarities, but in our like essence, I feel like we're the complete opposite.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, but together, it's like, you know, it's like we just feed off each other's like opposites.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, incredible how that kind of comes together, but it's like not possible if you're not being
your true self.
Your true self.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And if I felt like this need to like keep up with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, bro, I really respect how you move, you know, like how you're like You know, I'll be like telling Kevin, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm booking this. And he's like, yeah, like I need to chill. Like I need to chill. I need to feel into, and I like how you like went on a ride last night, and you were like that was like I needed some time in my own space. Like, God, I respect that. You know, that's so important. You know, as opposed to like somebody who just tries to like you said, match your energy.
Yeah,
it's like bring your true energy, and then together, it creates like this beautiful, you know, like the yin yang kind of image, you know.
It is it's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the human experience, is that like we're all a little bit different. We're all the same thing, and we're all a little bit different, you know. And just coming together in that true essence, man, like that is what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
Amen. Yeah. Wow.
We stepped into a portal, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm ready for a fresh cocoa.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, doesn't that sound good right now?
Yeah.
We've been drinking like 4 cocos a day.
Well, I guess we can... I feel like it's a good place to wrap things up.
Yeah.
It's been incredible. As usual, amazing conversations.
Yes. Not surprised.
Where can my audience find you?
Soul of Jaret on everything. Like soul, SOULOF JARET. My name's weird. You've probably never heard of another Jaret with 1 R and 1 T, but yeah, that's what it is. Soul of Jaret, JARET. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. I have a podcast, I do vlogs, the whole thing. So
Amazing, dude.
thanks for having me on, bro. It's a
Thank
lot
you.
of fun. Like I'm really stoked to like be a part of your journey, because I know you're gonna do big shit.
Thanks, man.
For real. Like,
Same to you, man.
you're the guy.
Yeah.
You're that guy, you know?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Until next time.
Yeah, until next time, I mean, Kevin and our journey is not over, so I'm sure you'll see him on my pod. I'll come back on his show, and keep an eye out on my vlogs coming up. The whole Thailand series. I mean, Kevin's a big part of it, so if you guys want to see more of Kevin in his what do you call it? In his natural habitat.
Yeah.
Check out my vlogs.
That's where you'll find me.
Yeah, man.
What a journey, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Peace and love.
See you, everybody.